And at that time, we moved up to Superior Junction, which became Trigo, and we had our little heaven on earth called Edenvale. We were a musical family. We'd go to the country schools for church services and school programs. Jim played the mouth organ and the bass drum. I played this tambourine, and the children would come with us, and they could play the clarinet and the guitar harp, the mandolin, the snare drum. We would do a sermon, of course, and we always sang songs with resounding strength. We weren't always the best musicians, but we were the loudest.
Not my type of music, man, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. I used to call square dances myself. Skip to the loo and all of that.
I love all kinds of music. Why don't we have a patriotic song here?
Well, I love music too, and I really miss playing my piano. But I like particularly classical music. I'd love to hear the William Tell Overture right about now.
Well, one of my other jobs is I wrote a column for the Spooner newspaper. I wrote a lot about Edenvale and about our home and a little bit of heaven on earth. I delivered babies and visited the sick and my herbal remedies to help people. I failed to mention, or I forgot, I was born in 1847. I'm like 50 years older than the next closest of these people here. At one time, a doctor from Spooner tried to stop me from practicing medicine. Well, I proved to him I had a license, and he had to write a retraction in the Spooner newspaper. It was really a new thing to go to those areas and have your little camera, and I would write about the different schools and the different functions that they did. I painted pictures with oils. In my column, I wrote about the law that talked about road signs at intersections. And so I even painted some of those signs and, any way to help make $1 or $2. And then, of course, there were the fairs that we started at our farm back in 1901, the harvest festivals. It was an opportunity for everyone to show off their produce and farming equipment.
Yes, I'd like to tell you my opinion. I don't care much for this yokels versus city slickers kind of contest, but I will talk about my life. Mr. Sheriff, I know you lived in Lamson for a while. Now, my husband Vern and I had a tavern in Lamson for about a dozen years. Lamson was a small village, still is, but it has friendly folks and fishermen. We had a few tours then, we have a few tours now.
I was elected sheriff 2 terms, 1933 to 1937. Then the hard times came. Oh, after that, I couldn't break my bad habits. Not to celebrate, but the way I celebrate. My wife threw me out, I couldn't shake the bad habits. I should have taken my place. Moderation, that's it.
Moderation, sure. Now, the hospitality business serves a purpose. And I always believe people need to socialize on occasion. Now, I was born in 1893 in Belgrade, Minnesota. My husband Vern and I had a daughter, Evelyn. We came from Bone Lake over there in Polk County to Washburn County in 1938. But in 1948, we became the proprietors of the Corner Tavern in Spooner. Everybody called me Aggie. I guess I knew all those summer people as well as the locals. Every Saturday, when the farmers would come to town, the wives would go to the store, the children would go to the matinee, and my friends, the farmers, would come to my place and play cards. But I always ran a clean place. Now, after Vern died, I had to run it myself. Not easy for a woman alone, but I made a go of it. Some folks will look down on you, but they know nothing about me. I ran my own business, and I held my head high.
I know this for a fact. It was a hot summer day. you came around the corner by the co-op store. On your way to work, at your tavern, you were just strutting your stuff like you always did. The kids hear things, and they learn from the grown-ups, and they develop prejudices. Oh, right. Some of the kids had gathered around you and watched you wave your big handkerchief to some men across the street. Kids were chanting something. They were mean little rascals. I had all them in school, so I should know that. Then you said, who wants ice cream out of all that? And all the kids jumped up and down and they held out their hands while you took out your change purse and put a coin in each one of those grubby little hands. Like a mother bird.
But I truly liked children. Not because they were potential customers, but I wanted them to have ice cream. Children should have ice cream.
Woo!
Yes. Now, when I dress like this is not the way I live. At home, I dress like every other woman with a regular clothes. I consider myself a good cook, a good baker, a good mother. That was how I lived. It was just for, I also consider myself a good businessman, a good businesswoman. And men like to have a good time. So when they came to my place, I called all the men by name. Hi, Ronnie. But in public, Mr. Oh, come on. I didn't want to embarrass anybody.
Back to my country. So I went immediately into the service, fresh out of high school. It was 1917 and we were at war.
So many of our boys went into the service. I remember 1918, when the armistice was declared. My dad was driving our team into Shell Lake, and just as he was crossing the railroad tracks, all the church bells began ringing, and the fire whistle blew. The horses were wide-eyed with panic, and they raced for home.
November 11th, 1918. I remember that day vividly. Our medical unit was near the front lines in France. All of us were working with the wounded and the sick, prayed for peace, not just a temporary truce. I wrote a book on my war experiences.
The July 22nd, 2010 Spooner Advocate. 100 years ago, the Ladies' Aid of the Methodist Church. Oh, no, that's not it. A son was born. No, that's not it. John Patton. No, here it is. Mother Hall and Happy Jim were Spooner visitors on Wednesday. And I did put that in there myself.
I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world.